Good afternoon. Welcome to the Captree Pride. We're going to get moving soon, I think, and everyone's going to cool off. This is a good assignment, a Saturday boat ride. I want to say thank you to Captain Rob and his crew for taking good care of us today and getting us out for a really nice weekend afternoon on the water. So I'm Alison Branco. I'm the Coastal Director for the Nature Conservancy in New York. The Nature Conservancy is the largest conservation organization in the world, and we work all over the world and in all 50 states. Sorry, guys. All 50 states to protect the lands and waters on which all life depends. And we're really proud to work with a true environmental leader in Governor Cuomo to make that mission happen here in New York. And it's a pleasure to be here with Governor Cuomo to continue the historic progress that New York has made on promoting biodiversity in our marine habitats. The governor understands that artificial reefs are crucial to preserving our natural resources and has built the most impressive artificial reef program across the nation. Our marine resources are crucial to our economy, our environment, and our way of life on Long Island, and we must continue to invest in protecting them for generations of New Yorkers to come. So thank you, Governor Cuomo, for promoting... I'm sorry, watch your backs, he said. So thank you to Governor Cuomo for promoting biodiversity of New York's marine life and for your continued support of Long Island and all of New Yorkers. And I'd like to just acknowledge a few of our special guests that we have here today. I'll start with Nassau County Executive Laura Curran. Eric Kolstad, the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Conservation. Kelly Cummings, the Director of State Operations and Infrastructure. John Joyce, the Director of Policy and Program Development for New York Canals. Well known on Long Island, Carrie Meek Gallagher, Regional Director for New York State Environmental Conservation. Colonel Thomas Asbury, Commander of the New York District of the Army Corps of Engineers. Adrian Esposito, Executive Director of Citizens Campaign for the Environment, and all of our friends in the environment, fishing, and diving communities. Thanks for being here today. And now I will direct your attention to this monitor next to me for a brief video about artificial reefs.
The underwater environment off the coast of Long Island is crucial to the island's future. As the habitat for millions of fish and marine life, it supports our commercial fishing industry, provides new opportunities for recreational fishing and diving, promotes tourism, and is an important driver of the growing Long Island economy. That is why, in the spring of 2018, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced New York's largest expansion of artificial reefs in state history, creating 12 new reefs along the Long Island coast. The expansion continues New York's proud leadership in protecting our environment and our natural resources.
You create an artificial reef, what you're doing is creating a habitat for the fishery.
A lot of the ocean is pretty much desert. If you were to drain the ocean, it would look like the Mojave Desert.
And sand does not attract the species that a reef does or a wreck does.
When you put materials down there that have profile and that are stable and will stay on the reef sites and that are properly prepared, they become new homes that are utilized by different marine species.
They all congregate there, and fish attract fish, so it just becomes this, eventually it becomes sort of a natural habitat.
And that's what we're noticing right now with the materials that we put down last year under the Governor's Reef Initiative.
These artificial reef sites are being built using a combination of recycled materials that enhance existing habitats, promote biodiversity, and ensure that these marine environments thrive.
It's going to change, literally, the shoreline around Long Island, increase the ecosystem all around Long Island.
We've added materials to 6 of the existing sites, and the goal for this year is to add materials to the remaining 6 for a total of 12.
During the first year of the program, the state dropped 8,805 cubic yards of materials from the Tappan Zee Bridge, 13 canal vessels, 4,700 tons of jetty stone, 2 70-ton New York Power Authority turbines, and over 170 tons of Department of Transportation steel pipe, trusses, and I-beams. Before these structures are placed in the ocean, all harmful materials are removed, including oils, asbestos, and loose debris. Once deployed, the benefits are almost immediate, as the reefs provide shelter and foraging areas for fish and other marine life.
The genesis of the program is we use what we call materials of opportunity. Materials that are being put down are being aquatically recycled. And so something that was like an old, say, a barge or a vessel, suddenly becomes alive within, say, a year's time. Those materials were deployed on all of those 6 reefs, and they are doing well right now. We've documented people out there fishing, and we've also documented people diving on them, and the ROV has documented the life that's grown on them. They're flourishing and doing well.
Now we have these 2 abundant stocks, sea bass and porgies, and they're our bread and butter. This is where we make most of our money because the fishing is really good.
Our innovative reef building program is an investment in a stronger and more diverse marine ecosystem that will boost Long Island's fishing, diving, and whale watching industries, as well as the regional economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Hello, hello, hello. Sit down, it's unsafe. What a beautiful day. Thank you all very much for being here. Let's give Allison Bronco a big round of applause and the Nature Conservancy and thank them for what they do. Captain Rob and the Captree Pride, thank you for taking us out. Let's give him a round of applause. And we have our great county executive who has been acknowledged already, but before she gets too sunburned, Laura Curran is phenomenal and she's doing a great job. Let's give her a round of applause. New York State is doing more than any state in the United States when it comes to climate change and protecting the environment, period. It's not even close. And we had a lot of distance to make up because it did not start that way. But today we are. And that does not happen without the New York State Legislature. I would like to say that as governor, you just come up with an idea and you get to do it. That is not how it works, unfortunately. There is a body called the New York State Legislature, the Senate and the Assembly, and nothing happens without them. And we have a delegation from Long Island that has really led the way for the entire state. I'm going to ask them to stand because they're members of the legislature. They're accustomed to danger. Senator Phil Boyle, stand up. Senator Anna Kaplan, Kevin Thomas, John Brooks, Monica Martinez, Jim Gorin, Assemblyman George Engelbright. Let's give them a round of applause. Special shout out to George Engelbright, who's been the chairman of the Environmental Committee and really brings great leadership. Thank you, George, for everything. I want to ask you to set the context for today. There was a book called The Leadership Moment that was written by Michael Useem, and I read it years ago. And the point of the book was that leadership happens at a moment in time. And the leadership, to be a leader, to show leadership, you have to adjust to that moment in time. And when you think about the environment, you think about climate change and everything that the people here are concerned about and work on, we are in a different moment. And I think we have to appreciate where we are. We started at a moment where we were trying to convince the people of this state and this country that the environment and climate change were a major issue. And that literally took decades. I worked with Al Gore, God bless his soul. He was vice president, and he would talk about the environment and climate change before he even did his book and his presentation that went international. And people just didn't believe him. This was all liberal nonsense. That was 20 years ago. Today, people get it. People get it. You look at any poll, you talk to any people, they all get that climate change is real. You want to call it extreme weather, but they get that it is real and it is a problem. School children get it. Why? Because it's now undeniable. It's not only every scientist and every data report, it's every time you turn on the news and you see another storm here and another flood here and a tornado here. It's what you experience in New York. It's Hurricane Sandy, it's flooding in upstate New York. People get that climate change is a real issue. Politically, they understand it. Viscerally, they understand it. Personally, they understand it. Step two, which is where we are now transitioning, is, well, what do you do about it? Everybody has goals. The first answer is you set a goal. We have to stop coal in 10 years. We have to be to renewables in 15 years. We have the most aggressive goal in the world, which we happen to have. And the goals are good. And the goals show commitment, and the goals show seriousness. But, back to the leadership moment. The key is going to be, how do you accomplish that goal? Because all of this is much easier said than done. You are talking about a massive transition for our economy. You're talking about a massive transition for people's lives. We want to get to a 100% renewable, clean economy. No fossil fuels, no gas. Okay, how do you power cars? How do you heat a home? How do you fly a plane? Where do the renewables come from? Oh, those are just details. No, that is everything. That is everything. We have not made this major a transition in society in this short a period of time, probably ever. So the how do you do it is not just a tedious question. It is actually everything. The goals are good, the aspiration is good, but they remind me of like New Year's resolutions, right? If I followed half of my New Year's resolutions, I would have lost over 800 pounds by now. The aspiration, the goal, the commitment, great. Now how do you do it? And that's where New York has to lead. New York already leads in the most aggressive goals. We have to lead in the, and this is how you actually make the transition. And the place to lead is Long Island. Why? Because Long Island is ground zero for environmental concerns. Think about it. It's a statewide problem. We have algal blooms in upstate New York that are a major issue, in our upstate lakes, which are also water supply. We have record flooding on Lake Ontario, which is the whole northern shore of the state of New York, and is devastating our northern coastline. Why Long Island? Because Mother Nature doesn't love Long Island? No, because Mother Nature does love Long Island. Because Mother Nature really created Long Island, it has been much more susceptible to climate change and weather and all of these challenges. Because we're surrounded by water, because of the aquifer, because of the sand base, it makes Long Island more vulnerable. That's what we saw in Superstorm Sandy. That's what we see in the condition of the water. That's why George Engelbright has been a leader in the Assembly. Why? Because his district saw the problem first. And when you look at where we're doing our most creative solutions to address this, it comes down to Long Island. Grum and Plume is where? Long Island. Bay Park wastewater treatment is where? Long Island. Offshore drilling. Thank you, legislature, for passing that bill. That would have been Long Island. A nation-leading shellfish stocking program is Long Island. Coal-free power plants by 2020 is Long Island. The problem of nitrogen in the water is no more obvious any place than on Long Island. Steve Ballone, he has been all over this issue from day one, and he is exactly right. The fishery in the Manhattan netting, the importance of our state parks, and what Commissioner Cooliside is doing. 90-year anniversary of Jones Beach this year. So Long Island should be the laboratory for the nation of how to put all these pieces together and actually come up with the comprehensive solution to get to the green economy. Everybody wants to get there. Nobody knows how. And that is the truth. And you can listen to all these national debates, and they're all about the rhetoric. Nobody can say, here's the plan as to how to do it. They can set goals, they can be ambitious, but nobody's answered the question, this is how. We just announced the largest wind turbine program in the United States of America, $3.6 billion. But it's not just a wind turbine program. It said we're going to do wind turbines, but we also want the jobs located in New York State, and Port Jefferson and 2 other ports are going to generate jobs to do the installation and the assembly. And we also started the most advanced worker training program for these new jobs in the United States of America. That's how you start to marry the environmental improvement with the new economic opportunity. Long Island should be the showcase. It should be the laboratory, how all these pieces fit together. And that's what this nation needs today more than anything. How do we get there? We all agree we have to get there. The question is how. And let Long Island be the answer. Because not only do we know how, we are demonstrating how. And when you look back at the great contributions of New York could have been called the show me state. Another state stole the slogan. But FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, it wasn't about the rhetoric of what to do. They demonstrated for the nation what to do. And that's what the nation needs now, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we have to showcase. Today is part of it with this Reef announcement. This was smart. I'd love to say was novel. The Japanese were doing reefs in the 1600s. South Carolina was doing it in the 1800s. New York was doing it in the 1950s. The rationale is very simple. You heard it on the video. You see a picture of our southern shore. It's all sand. There's no habitat. And it doesn't support a fishery. Artificial reefs make sense. It's just the doing it like anything else. And that's what today is all about, building on that progress that we have made. So thank you all very much for coming out. Think about how we put all these pieces together and really make Long Island the comprehensive green economy and green environment, because that's the answer. Thank you for coming out. God bless you.
Please welcome Director of State Operations and Infrastructure, Kelly Cuomo.
Thank you, Governor. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all out here on this gorgeous day. New York's Artificial Reef program is the envy of the nation, and Governor Cuomo made it happen because he understands the benefits and the importance of healthy marine environment. So thank you, Governor Cuomo. As he said, the New York State Artificial Reef Program was created in the 1950s, and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation established a Marine Artificial Reef Development and Management Program back in 1993. While this program existed for decades, very little material had actually been deployed. It wasn't until Governor Cuomo made New York's Artificial Reef Program a priority that we separated ourselves as a national leader. And last year began a period of unprecedented growth in our efforts. We deployed materials to the Hempstead, Mauritius, Rockaway, Shinnecock, Smithtown, and Fire Island artificial reefs under the Governor's initiative. Today, we're going to be deploying additional materials to the Fire Island Reef, and throughout the summer and fall, we'll be deploying materials at Atlantic Beach, McAllister Grounds, Yellow Bar, Kismet, Matinecock, and 12 Mile Reefs. And I'll be sharing more information about the deployments we're making on Fire Island Reef as we get closer to the reef site. As you saw from the video, the results in just 1 year are absolutely astounding. These materials are and the reefs are teeming with life. These reefs bring in millions of dollars to our local economy. A sound investment in artificial reefs provides a significant positive return that promotes local recreation for their help in this effort, including the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Department of Transportation, the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation, the Thruway Authority, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, especially Major General Jeffrey Milhorn, Commander and Division Engineer, North Atlantic Region, the U.S. Coast Guard, and of course the sport fishing, recreational fishing, and diving industries in New York State. And now I would like to turn it over to DEC's Region 1 Director, Carrie Gallagher. Thank you, Carrie.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So, it's a little, gotta get my bearings up here. So, Long Island is fortunate to have such a fierce environmental advocate in Governor Cuomo, whose commitment to helping the economy, natural resources, and quality of life is creating a healthier environment throughout our region. And all New Yorkers are benefiting from his leadership and record investments in prioritizing environmental protection. As the governor mentioned, and I just want to reinforce, a couple of weeks ago he was with Vice President Al Gore to announce 2 nation-leading initiatives, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, and of course the execution of the nation's largest offshore wind agreement and the single largest renewable energy procurement by any state in U.S. history. I'll reinforce a couple of other key environmental accomplishments this year. He signed the bunker bill to prevent overfishing and protect the ongoing recovery of menhaden and the many species that depend on them for food. In June at Bellport Bay, I know a number of you were there with us celebrating, we announced a milestone in the Long Island Shellfish Restoration Project, which is a $10.4 million investment to restore critical marine environments, improve water quality, support the local fishing industry, and build stronger coastlines. So DC and our partners continue to make swift progress in creating and stocking 5 shellfish sanctuaries with clams and oysters around the region. And none of this would be possible without my colleagues in the Marine Division, and I know that we have our Division Director here today with us, Jim Gilmore, so I'd just like to give a shout out to Jim for all his good work. Okay. The many other victories for Long Island's public health and environment are too numerous to count, but I'll just highlight a few of them. So A really important one here on the island, of course, is $3 billion, that's billion with a B, for clean water infrastructure and the protection of drinking water with the nation's most protective maximum contaminant levels, MCLs, for PFOA and PFAS, and the first ever maximum contaminant level for 1,4-dioxane. Conducting a comprehensive groundwater sustainability study to ensure that Long Island's sole source of drinking water, our aquifer, is protected and properly managed. Of course, directing DEC's aggressive actions to clean up the Grumman Navy plume, the record $300 million Environmental Protection Fund, and all the coastal resiliency investments. With our partners at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, critical projects are underway to protect our communities and important habitat, and we're very fortunate we actually have with us today, I just wanted to thank them again. We have Colonel Tom Asbury with us today, Commander of the New York District, and Joe Sebo, District Deputy Engineer. Thank you for all of our ongoing partnerships. And again, just to mention nitrogen, of course, the governor's aggressively tackling nitrogen pollution, working with our municipal and community-based partners on initiatives like the Long Island Nitrogen Action Plan, the Bay Park Wastewater Treatment Plant improvements, and of course the Suffolk County Sewer expansion, and many, many others. So on behalf of DEC, thank you, Governor Cuomo, and we look forward to continuing to be a part of the exciting work ahead. Thank you. Are we moving? Okay. So now we are going to move down to the lower level and get into position to watch the deployment of new material to the reef.